98FM Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. How are you today on this Tuesday? If you want to contact us about anything that we're talking about on the programme today, it's very easy. All you do is send us a text, a WhatsApp or a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. You can call us on 6797 981. Stick an 01 in front of that and you'll be straight through to us for anything that we're talking about on the show today, because of course this programme is all about you and you getting involved in the conversations that we're having every day. Now, first off on the programme, coming up in just a moment, we've an exclusive interview. We'll be talking to a man who's still recovering in hospital following a vicious assault that he was subjected to while working as a doorman at a popular Dublin nightclub. Sean Owens was working on the door of the nightclub of the Red Cow when he was attacked by a mob last Friday night, early Saturday morning. He was stabbed 3 times in the back and could have been killed. I'll be talking to Sean in just a second, but ahead of talking to him, I have a question for you. Do you believe that all security working the doors of pubs and nightclubs in Dublin should wear stab vests? Now, a lot of people will say if you arrived at the door of a nightclub and you see the bouncers wearing stab vests, you'd think, oh my Jesus, this is a rough place. However, no matter where the place is, no matter how nice the club or the bar or the late bar or whatever it is, you still have idiots who will attack door staff. And when you hear Sean's story, you might agree that door staff should wear stab vests. So if all of them did, then none of them would stand out, if you know what I mean. If it was, for example, if you're on the Lewis, you see all of the security wear stab vests. You don't think, oh, this is a rough place. You just think, oh, the security on the Lewis wear stab vests. So we're going to be asking, and in fact, I'll ask you now, if you've ever worked in the security business, how dangerous is it? Has anything happened to you while working the door of a pub or a club, or a shop for that matter? Call me right now on 6797 981. In a couple of minutes, you will hear about a campaign, ironically, that Sean himself is involved in to try and improve standards for people working in the security industry, particularly door staff. And I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. Is the job that dangerous that stab vests are needed? Or maybe you think it will give off the completely wrong impression if you walked up to the door and all the door crew had stab vests on. Call me right now on 6797 981. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. And I want you to answer this question. I want you to text or WhatsApp the answer to this question. I'll do a little survey. Do you believe that all security working on the doors of pubs and clubs should wear stab vests? I want you to text or WhatsApp the answer to that question right now to 0877 98 98 98. Do you believe that all security working the doors of pubs and nightclubs in Dublin should wear stab vests? And in other words, it just becomes a standard thing, just like you see the lads on the Lewis. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Now, Sean joins me on the line from hospital, as it happens. He's still in hospital 4 days after being stabbed in the back on early Saturday morning. And Sean, let me start by asking you, how are you today?
I'm sore at the moment. Very sore. I seem to be healing okay, but I will be out of action for a good while.
So tell me, take me back to Friday night, Saturday morning. You were working on the door of the club, and what happened?
Yeah, basically, I'm unsure of what actually the reason was. I have my suspicions. There was an incident involving a lad earlier on in the night where they were removed and a lad was being given first aid. I was on the door myself, and then, to be quite honest, I looked up and I seen a gang of young lads running to us were running to me and the rest of the door staff, where they picked up barriers and they were armed. One of them threw the barrier at me and then attacked me, basically. From my opinion, what I can make out, they were looking to gain entry to the nightclub to get somebody in the nightclub, and I stood in the way to deal with them, to stop them getting in. So in spite of that, they attacked me. I tried to defend myself. I was punched by 6 or 7 lads.
6 or 7 lads who punched, kicked, bottled you?
Punched, kicked, threw barriers at me, threw a barrier, one barrier hit me. I tried to defend myself as much as I could. I'm not going to lie, I did throw digs back, trying to defend myself, and then I felt it. I bent down to cover my head, and I felt the blade go in the back the first time. And then again the second time, I tried getting out of there. I covered back up and I felt it go in the third time. It was like, luckily enough now they all ran away after it had been done. An investigation is still going on. So hopefully they find out who did this.
Okay, so these lads were trying to get back into the club to get somebody else. You stood in their way, as any good bouncer would, and you were literally, well, they beat the living shit out of you.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
My God. And stabbed 3 times in the back as you were lying on the ground?
No, I stood. I never went to the ground.
Okay.
If I went to the ground, I knew I was dead. So I bent over, covered my head, and I was stabbed 3 times in the back, where they punctured my lung, they broke 2 ribs, and there's something wrong with my elbow as well. I'm waiting on x-rays and everything to come back from that.
Okay, so a punctured lung is a very serious thing, and I was reading on one Facebook post that you're lucky to be alive.
Yeah. One of the guards said, and other people have said, that if it had been, I'm a quite well-built lad, if it was anybody smaller or anybody that was maybe less experienced on the door or something that wouldn't be able to fight back, there's a good chance they'd be dead if it was anybody.
In terms of these guys, who you say roughly 10 lads tried storming the doors, you tried to stop them from entering. They did what they did to you. Had they been in the club earlier?
As far as I know, they were at a private function across the way in one of the hotel rooms. This is all I know. I don't know anything perfectly from facts. I'm still waiting to hear the facts from the Gardaí.
Okay, but you hadn't had any contact with them previously?
Never had any contact with them.
Yes, so in other words, they weren't coming back to attack you. They were coming back to get at somebody else.
They were coming back for somebody in the nightclub. I'd never met any of them. Never. I was literally in work half an hour. There was a fight in the back of the nightclub. One lad was removed. He was being given first aid. I'm assuming it was his friends or something to do with him, because they were looking to gain entrance to the lad that had bottled him.
Now, as you said, this is currently under investigation by the Gardaí. I assume the door that you were working on has CCTV, so that will help.
Yeah, CCTV. As you know, Dublin is a very small place. It won't take long for these lads to be found. As far as I haven't seen the CCTV myself, but I am told that the faces are very clear and it's very, very crystal clear HD quality.
Excellent. Well, that's fantastic, and hopefully that'll be released sooner rather than later, and we can find out and track down these guys. But the fact of the matter is that the coward, and that's all he is, who stabbed you in the back 3 times, nearly killing you, is still walking the streets right now.
Yeah, it did bug me there yesterday. I was lying in hospital, and it just popped into my head that this lad has probably actually sat down eating his Sunday dinner now. You know, that bugged me a little bit. But look, karma's a thing, and it will come round to him. You know, the guards, I have full faith in the Gardaí. At the moment, as you've probably seen, I run a security page trying to help people starting off in the industry and all that. So I'm trying to use what publicity I am getting for this to try and maybe change in the industry. I'm working with a couple of other people that are well known in the industry to maybe try and make this a bit safer. Maybe try and get it mandatory that, you know, stab vests are brought into
Because, of course, they're not mandatory at the moment.
They're not. We're not first aid trained. We're not nothing. And things like this need to be changed.
Now, as a matter of interest, Sean, do you believe that all security staff, well, bouncers in particular, should wear stab vests? You obviously do.
I do. Look, I'm doing it 16 years.
Is it that dangerous, though? That
It is. Look, the reason we don't wear stab vests is because venues think that if a doorman is stood there with a stab vest, it's going to turn customers away. It's a bad image to have. Oh, yeah. It's not. It is. You could have the nicest bar in the world, cleanest bar, hotel room, whatever, 5-star quality. All it takes is one lad to have one too many drinks or him sniffing a bag of coke or something, and he turns and puts a glass in somebody's face or a knife in somebody.
And in terms of yourself, Sean, obviously what happened to you on Friday night, Saturday morning is very severe. But have you had instance like this in the past that would make you think that all security should wear stab vests and so on?
Yeah, I have. Couple of years, I think it was 2012. I was working a bar in Temple Bar, where it was actually a doorman. I put a doorman out for fighting, and he came back with a sword and cut my hand off with a sword. So these are the type of people, lunatics, that are out there. You know, when people are drunk and when they're on other things, they don't take full responsibility for themselves.
So tell me a little bit more about the campaign then, and what you're trying to achieve, and how can people contact you through that?
Well, my page on Facebook is Security Stories and Reviews. At the moment, I'm just trying to make awareness on how dangerous this job is. Like all security, we are paid little or nothing. The money is terrible. I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to make people aware that bouncers in particular have a really, really bad image of bullies, thugs, or whatever. Everybody, I'm sure if you talk to anybody, they've got some story with a bouncer that they claimed slapped them about or whatever. But at the end of the day, we are people as well. Just because I'm a bouncer doesn't mean that I don't have feelings. I have a family. I have a mother, a father, a brother, a sister. You know, we are people as well. You know, and 9 times out of 10, we go to work. We stand on a nightclub door or whatever. But at the same time, you know, we want to go home safe as well. And it's just a campaign to try and change this industry. The PSA, the Private Security Authority, don't get me wrong, they're doing their job to a certain degree, but let's try and make this a bit safer. So.
And I'm looking at photographs on your Facebook page, and one obviously of you taken the other day. But the whole page is it's a Facebook page called Security Stories and Reviews, which you set up quite some time ago, and ironically feature as part of the stories on this Facebook page.
Yeah, I'm in a few of them. I do, it's kind of a blog thing. A lot of the videos on there at the moment are me, there's videos from me giving advice to self-help. I get a lot of people asking me to, like, I have one there that my next video will be, like, it's something simple. Like, there's a lad there that's been working security. He's trained and everything, licensed. But sure, he doesn't know how to write a report. He's a non-national, doesn't know how to write a report, which is pretty serious. You know, so my argument is, yeah, people are getting trained, but the training courses aren't equipped to deal with what is needed to stand on the door. Like I can tell you hand by hand, the training course will run you fire extinguishers, evacuations, crowd control and everything, which is fine. But it doesn't tell you how to deal with a lunatic that's just picked up a glass bottle and shoved it in somebody's face. We're not first aid trained. We need to be. I think that should be mandatory. Makes sense. We're the first, 9 times out of 10, we're the first point of contact if there's an incident or somebody's ill or something. Door staff don't carry first aid kits. Don't get me wrong, I'm not looking for us to be like other countries, handed batons and tasers. That's never going to happen in this country. But there needs to be protection for door staff and security, and it's not just the doors; it's retail. I don't know if you've walked up and down, you know, O'Connell Street or Mary Street. Like the amount of hassle those lads deal with on a day-to-day basis of shoplifters, abuse,
Okay, so while things have improved fairly dramatically compared to, say, 20 years ago, where the whole industry was completely unregulated, it is now at least regulated to an extent, but there's still much more that can and should be done to help security staff.
I think so, yeah. I think it's not even, it's about protecting us as well. Like, we are people as well. We have a,
Let me ask you one final question, Sean, as you recover in hospital. Are you going to go back to it, or are you going to pack it in?
No, I'll go back to it.
You're a brave man.
I've been in it 16 years. I don't think I'd know how to do anything else. However, there is always that little bit of fear.
Okay, but what happened to you on Friday night will spur you on all the more to demand support and changes for the security industry.
Yeah, my ambition, my main thing is to change the industry, to help us. My main thing is to work with people that are in the industry, that can control the industry, like the likes of the PSA and that, and make things safer and better for security. So in 10 years' time, I don't hear about another lad that's in the exact same position
that you are today.
Right now. Yeah.
All right, but look, Sean, I admire you for speaking out so openly. Obviously, we hope that the CCTV from the club and the Garda investigation will fairly quickly track down the psycho that did this to you, because that's the only word I can think of to describe what he did to you the other day, and get him off the streets, because he's a danger to everybody if he could do that to you.
Well, this is it. Hopefully, like, I have full faith in the Gardaí. I just hope that it's done quickly, and it sets an example to other people that have this, this attitude of, I can do what I want when I want. There are consequences,
Well, hopefully those consequences will come to bear on those who attacked you on Friday night. Sean Owens, thanks very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM, and I wish you a speedy recovery as well.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Cheers.
And I would like to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Here's a WhatsApp voice note from Dan.
The reason this is happening, Adrian, is because there's no deterrent for these scumbags carrying knives. Every weekend now you're hearing of a new stabbing, and there's young fellas going around carrying knives, and it's actually not even recorded on the statistics. So it's just an absolute joke. The young fellas are just doing what they like, and they're not getting prosecuted for carrying knives at all. They just get a slap on the wrist, if even. So there needs to be a mandatory sentence for anybody caught carrying a knife. Same the way that is if they're caught carrying a gun. What's the difference?
All right, thank you very much indeed, Dan. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Huge reaction to this, and we'll take some calls straight after the break.
The sound of the city, from Clondalkin to Clontarf. Dublin Talks. 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
We're talking about the dangers of working in the security industry, particularly door staff on pubs and clubs. And you heard Sean's story Friday night, early Saturday morning. He was working at the door of a nightclub, was attacked by a mob and stabbed in the back 3 times. I mean, what a cowardly way to attack somebody, stab them in the back, like, seriously. Have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note from Kasia, who knows Sean.
Hi guys, my name is Kasia. I used to work with Sean for a couple of years. He's extremely professional at his job. I have 10 years of experience working in the door myself. Moved away to work in Dublin because the things were started getting extremely dangerous there. Back in 2010, working by my site in the right venue, a mate of mine got stabbed by one of the people that was trying to get into the place. Things are really, really, really getting crazy for us doormen and door persons, however you want to call us. Something has to be done, and I'm proud of Sean standing up and trying to get the things better for us. the most of the places when I start wearing the stab vest, the owners of the venues didn't like it, so we were just kind of getting moved out of the venues to the next venues, and don't think the stab vests will be something that is going to be welcomed by the venues and the owners. It's look too heavy, look too intimidated for the customers, and does not look good on the venues, unfortunately. We don't have enough power to defend ourselves. We were literally not protected. It'd be great if something is done about it. It will make our job easy. At the end of the day, we are human beings. We have families. We have friends. We don't deserve to be treated by people the way Sean was treated. So sad. Glad nothing worse happened than that, and I absolutely wish him the speed recovery. Take care, Sean.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Kasia. Now, Christopher, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Christopher?
How are you?
You are a doorman yourself, and you bought yourself a stab vest and a bulletproof vest.
I'm actually a doorman, and I'm also a retail security officer.
Right, okay.
And first of all, I bought my stab vest after I was stabbed in Thomas Street 2 years ago by a male who decided that he wasn't going to be detained for theft. So he pulled out a syringe and he stabbed it into my arm, and I went through hell then. Mind you,
a stab vest wouldn't have prevented that.
Where I got stabbed was actually first into the chest, but then eventually, when he couldn't get to where my chest was, he went straight into my arm.
Right, okay.
I've also been stabbed on the door, so I know how Sean's feeling, and it's now time to act. That the PSA stand up and the government and give not just doormen but also retail security officers more of a law to help themselves. We're out there day after day. We all have families. We all have kids. We're out there to earn a living. And it's not right that this is happening, not just to Sean, but also day in, day out. The security guards are also in retail shops are getting attacked.
Now, one of the things that that lady Kasia mentioned in her message a second ago was that she was working on doors and she arrived with a stab vest, and the owners don't like it because it doesn't give a good image. And let's be honest, Christopher, it doesn't give a good image when security are standing on the door of a pub or a club wearing a stab vest.
It's not all big, huge, bulky vests as everybody goes on about. There is actually vests that actually look like a normal waistcoat and a normal bomber jacket, a normal suit jacket, but actually are Kevlar protected, there to help us. So this thing of telling people that doormen have to wear big, huge, bulky vests and stand there. There's other vests out there that you can actually get. I've researched over the past weekend that you actually can purchase, and actually the client or the company that you work for will actually accept and let you wear it on a door and won't actually stand out a mile away.
Okay, and one of the arguments is, just as you see security on the Lewis, they all wear stab vests, nobody bats an eyelid, that's just what they do. If it became a standard thing for security on all pubs and clubs and shops and everything else to be wearing stab vests, then no one place would stand out.
Yes, I understand that. You all have to, as you all say, we're all in this together, so hopefully everybody listens to what went on, and actually Sean's story actually highlights that at the end of the day, we are all human and need to be protected.
Let me ask you, Christopher, you say you were stabbed, you've been stabbed a number of times. Why do you continue to do it?
One, I do it because it's a job. Two, there's always, even though you're a security guard or you're a doorman, you also have a life. It's also part of in you. If I was to leave that altogether, I wouldn't know what other job to go back into.
Which is very interesting, because it's exactly what Sean said himself. That he will go back to it, even though he could have been killed last Friday night.
I understand that, but at the end of the day, most of us are in it a long, long time. Most of us are experienced, including Sean there himself, including Kasia there. At the end of the day, there's nothing we actually know. There's security. It's actually in us. If you were to put us into a normal shop trying to stack shelves or that, we'd never know what to do. As a doorman, we all work together as a team, and we all have a lot of friends out there that actually are the same thing. Why do you get into doing the doors? It's dangerous. It's dangerous, but also at the end of the day, there's also good things and bad things of becoming a doorman and also becoming a retail security guard.
Okay, and this isn't just... Yeah, this isn't just an issue for bouncers, traditional bouncers on pubs and clubs. This is also an issue for security. And in fact, this message just came in to me from Aaron, and he said, I used to work in security on a department store in the city centre. I left the security because it was too dangerous. I got a knife pulled on me on the shop floor and followed home after work. It's an extremely hard working place to be in. So it's not just door staff. This applies to everyone. And in fact, you can look at it from both sides, Christopher.
I can look at it from my point of view of being a doorman and also being a retail security guard. There's two different stories at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, the government had to stand up and give security personnel more protection and more proper training.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Yep, stay there for 1 second, Christopher. Sorry, just as a matter of interest, Christopher, in terms of knives, and like we heard from Sean himself, he was stabbed 3 times in the back. How common and frequent is it that somebody produces a knife?
Nowadays, in my instance, I've seen could be a daily basis.
A daily basis, okay. So this is
a handy blade, it could be a carving knife, it could be a flick knife, it could even be a hairbrush that comes into a knife. You can detain a female for theft and go through a bag when she's been detained, and out comes a knife. It could be anything, it could be in a comb. There's all different ways to get knives out there, Jeremy. Even a credit card sized knife can pop out and you can get stabbed with that in the face or get stabbed anywhere.
All right, stay there for 1 second. Let me just explore this whole thing about knives and knife culture, it's being called now, and how so many people are carrying knives. Our next caller, I'm using the voice disguise on to protect his identity, because obviously we don't want to identify him or the people that he's talking about. Ryan, welcome to 98 FM.
Thank you.
Ryan, tell me, if you will, please, about the bad crowd that your son has gotten in with.
I live in an area where you think this doesn't happen on the south side of Dublin. And I find it's more frequent out here these days than it is in the inner city. But there's a gang of 6 of them constantly carrying knives and constantly going around fighting. And 4 times I have picked my son up from the Garda station for carrying a knife. And not a caution, not a conviction, just pick him up and bring him home.
Really? Nothing?
Nothing.
Where if he was carrying a gun, he'd be charged with a crime, but carrying a knife, he just gets a lift home.
Yeah, and the message I see the guards are sending is, it's okay, go ahead, carry them.
And you say that you've reported your own son and his friends to the guards for carrying knives, and nothing is being done about this?
Nothing is being done. The guards pick them up, take the knives off them and send them home.
And for what reason is your son carrying a knife?
Because there's other lads that around this area or come from all areas, they all meet up, have fights, and they find that's the only way to protect themselves, which is very untrue. But
and what age is he?
15.
15?
Yeah.
And have you lost control of him?
I haven't. My wife has. He just does not listen to her at all. But he knows how I feel about it, and he knows I'm the one doing it. And
when you say you're the one doing it, the one calling the guards?
Yeah.
And he just ignores you, ignores your wife?
I've had 3 of them come to me on the street and try to attack me. Now I don't mind them trying because they don't get very far.
That's shocking, that is.
They're all just cowards the way I see them these days.
But your point being that this young fellow of yours is not from your stereotypical rough area. He's just gotten in with the wrong crowd and is walking the streets with a knife in his pocket.
And the other thing, because at this day and age, it's all right to do it. And the guards are sending them that message by just picking them up, taking it off them and sending them home.
As opposed to charging them with possession of a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
And have you questioned the guards about this? Have you asked the guards about this?
I've sent numerous letters to the ombudsman because I get nowhere with the guards.
And? Anything from the Ombudsman?
Nothing at all yet.
So you, as a parent, are being as responsible as you can in terms of letting the Gardaí know that this group of young fellas are walking around with knives, and they stop them, take the knives off them and give them a lift home, and that's all that happens.
It took until on the fourth time I collected my son, one was kept because he had finally used a knife on another child. It took the guards until that to happen to keep him.
And was he charged with anything?
He's been charged and prosecuted now, where this could have been avoided if they had been charged the first time.
But in terms of, you say he's 15, you can't stop him going out, can you not?
I have put a stop to him going out, but I do have to go to work. And as mother, we have a child with disability, and she has to care for her a lot. And as soon as he sees his chance, he's gone.
I mean, just after being sent a screen grab from a website where you can order online. This is very scary, actually. This is a website that loads of people use, and I could, for $10 order a tactical weapon blade. I could also get a survival key tool blade. So this actually looks like a key, a front door key, but it's actually a bloody knife. Wow.
And there's a shop just at the front of our housing estate that sells nearly everything, and the young lad can go in and buy the Swiss Army knives, no questions asked, no age asked.
It sounds to me, Ryan, like you're pulling your hair out now. You just don't know what to do to stop your own young fella walking the streets with a gang walking the streets with knives.
No, I've tried everything.
Sean, stay on the line there. Ryan, stay on the line there for 1 second if you can, please. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Peter, I'm going to talk to you straight after the break. Still working the doors, but you're saying that today it's much more dangerous than it ever has been.
Oh, yeah, it's far more dangerous.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. I'll be with you straight after the break.
The sound of the city, from Saggart to Sutton. Dublin Talks. 98FM's Dublin Talks.
Good morning from Adrian Kennedy. We're talking about the proliferation of knives here in Dublin, and you've been hearing from door staff, a doorman stabbed 3 times in the back last early Saturday morning. You've heard from a father whose 15-year-old young fella is hanging around with a gang and they're all carrying knives. And even though he has called the guards himself to report his own son, they just stop him, take the knife off him and give him a lift home. Now, Peter, you were saying there before the break that working the doors, it's gone to the dogs today. It's much more dangerous than ever. What has made it more dangerous now than, let's say, 10, 15 years ago?
Oh, there's just all gang culture and stuff like that, and all young lads. I mean, I do a lot of pre-debs now and stuff like that, and the amount of young lads and women, the security going in, and you would just catch them in the toilet. I mean, I don't know where are they getting all the money for all this stuff. It is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, in the space of 15 minutes, I was at a pre-debs there a couple of months ago, and I was doing it. I caught 15 young lads in the toilet with drugs and let them empty their pockets, whatever, and I flushed it down the toilet.
15 of them?
Yeah, in the space of, I'd say, about 15 minutes.
Okay, and then these are all young, immature idiots coked out of their heads or whatever it is they're taking, and that obviously puts them in a different space altogether. They think they're invincible.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And then the culture is now, it's not like years ago. If you had a grievance with some lad or somebody, and you would, have a fight, and if you were beating them, your man was beating me, your own mates would pull you off and say, that's it, it's done, shake hands, it's done with, it's over. But now it is, if a lad lands around the same as that man, fair play to staying on his feet, because if he had landed on or went down that ground, the first place now anyone does, and I've seen it, or that, and even women on the ground,
is kick or stamp straight to the head. That's the first place to go to. It's not a kick in the leg or a kick in the back or kick him up the arm or anything like that. It's go straight and stamp straight to the head.
Which is attempted murder.
Yeah. And I mean full blow. Going to, like if you were kicking a soccer ball on the ground. I mean, my God, it's the same as that lad. I mean, I'm had now on and off over 25 years. And I'm telling you, you could write a small book and people would say to you, Jesus Christ, there's no way that happened.
Okay, let me ask you, Peter, then. And listening to Sean's story, and you heard Sean say that only for he's such a big guy, the hospital told him he would be dead. He has a punctured lung, and had he been a smaller guy, his lung would have flooded, and we'd be talking about somebody dead. Why do you, and I even asked Sean this question, why would he possibly go back to that work? Why do you continue to do it when it is so dangerous?
Well, just as a matter, you're at that long. It's not all bad. I mean, you do meet people. I've helped a lot of people out where mother or fathers have come down and thanked you and shook your hand on the door. And I say, sure, it's the same. Come down and said, Jesus, thanks very much for that. I mean, I've often had to get people out the back and put them in the car, in the boot of the car, driving out the gate at places where they're looking in and say, oh, yeah, go ahead there.
What do you mean put them in the boot of a car?
Because the way it's gone now, there's not enough guard stations on or open, and they're waiting outside for the young lads.
Oh, I'm with you. Okay, so you've escorted somebody, thrown them in the boot of a car, and said, "Go on, Scarper."
Yeah, and next thing dropped them off or down to the taxi rank or brought them out the road or something like that, and you're there. I mean, you can buy them. I was looking online in America and over in England. You can buy them covert stab-proof vests. You can get the ones that are bulletproof, needle, knife, and all that. They're all different grades. So they are. Even the ones that stop needles. And you can buy the covert ones that go under your shirts and stuff like that, rather than, as you know, buying the bulk.
And do you wear one yourself?
No, but I'm going to invest in one. But the only thing about me is, I talked to I think Adrian before about this. I mean, I did boxing for a number of years, and I did martial arts for a number of years. So I'm one of them lads, and I don't drink or smoke myself. So I'm relatively fairly fit. I look after myself. But the thing is, when you have 7 or 8...
I know, you can be as good at boxing as you like, but you can still be stabbed in the back like happened to that guy.
But it's gone, it's just, even women, lads, as I said, you could have a lad coming up in a tracksuit with the gold chains hanging out of him, and he could be the nicest lad you could meet. This is just a reverse to give you an idea. And you could have the lad coming up in a designer suit, and he could be the worst lad you could ever come across.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go back to the question, which was: is it time that stab vests became the norm for security staff?
Oh yeah, but because you just don't know, and it's not only Dublin; it is everywhere. I mean, the amount of knives in the last couple of years that I have found or taken off lads, or searching out, or said empty your pockets. Knuckle dusters. I even had a lad one day out of his small jeans pocket. He took out a gum shield, and I said, "Well, that's a bad sign. You're just expecting trouble carrying a gum shield around to pop it into your mouth."
Good God! Right? Okay. That's how bad it's got.
Yeah.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Michael, you would go a step further. Not only should you have vests, you should have bulletproof vests and tasers. Is it that bad?
Yes, it is. It's got really, really bad out there for security officers. I'm not just talking about doormen. I'm talking about retail. You're talking about knives. You're talking about syringes. You're talking about... these people actually have pepper spray in their handbags that they will pepper spray security officers as well. Now, you were talking there earlier on about a gentleman there that has a 15-year-old child.
Yes.
Now, we're in the 24th century now. You cannot be prosecuted for certain crimes unless you're 18 or over. Now, that has to change, because they know at 13, 14 years of age now what they're doing. They know the facts of life at 12 years of age, for God's sake. We need to change the laws in this country where if you're 15 years of age, you can be done for murder, you can be done for manslaughter, and none of this, I won't use bad language, but I am very annoyed. We had a senator not so long ago, and I think it was Mr. Nash, he's a senator, giving out about the security industry, and all of a sudden he went very quiet because I don't know what happened to him, but he went very quiet because he's giving out about the security industry.
Sorry, I'm not aware of that story, so I don't really want to go into that too much. But let me ask you, do you believe it should become a standard for security to have stab vests and taser guns?
Well, not necessarily. Tasers would be an option, but I would prefer security officers at least be legalised to have pepper spray for some kind of protection. And if so, tasers, yes. Because
I should imagine, Michael, the use of pepper spray at the door of a nightclub, for example, or a bar isn't going to be a good thing when it can it could waft into the bloody club. You could affect loads more than just one person.
What do you mean?
The spray itself could waft into the premises.
Well, look, if it saves the security man's life, it saves somebody's life, what's a few minutes of a sting in your eye like?
And in fact, I'm just being told of an incident about 10 or 12 years ago, maybe longer than that, of a doorman using a pepper spray at the door of a club that used to be in Ranelagh, and they had to evacuate the place because the spray actually went into the club. So,
all I would say to you is, like, you could argue is emptying a place out or saving a man's life.
Okay, stay there for 1 second and let me bring in one last call, and that's you, Aaron. Unbelievable reaction to this, actually. Aaron, you worked in Temple Bar. You were subject to abuse and assault a few times, and you get annoyed when people say, well, it's part of the job.
Yeah. The way it's gone now, you have to be very careful in the way you restrain people. Like, you know what I mean? We can't really defend ourselves without our licence or our job being questioned, But
the one thing I would say to you, Aaron, isn't it part of the job, though? Unfortunately, you take on what can be a fairly tough job.
It is a tough job, yeah.
I wouldn't do it for love nor money because I'm just not that person. I just wouldn't be interested in a job that I'm under threat.
Yeah, no, it's. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's just. It's at the end of the day, it's our job, it's what we do, you know what I mean? But it's a job where we're, how do you describe it even? It's let's say...
No, I agree with you. Nobody should have to go to work with the risk of not coming home from work, which is something that happened to that man, Sean, on Friday. He may well not have come home from work. Yeah. So what can be done? What do you want to see being done to make your job safer?
Just if we had a bit more leeway, let's say, when it comes to restraining people, or let's say if we get a box in the face or something like that, by law, we can't hit back. We're supposed to be able to take that out. Let's say if you're...
But you do know the reason that has come... You do know the reason, Aaron, that came to pass, because some bouncers just couldn't control themselves.
Yeah, see, that's what I was going to say. Well, none of us go out of our way, let's say, to hit someone, But at the same time, if there's three lads banding around you, you're on a door on your own, you do have to do something to defend yourself. Now, the lads that are doing it just to go out and hit someone for the crack, I'd say they're at the wrong job altogether.
No, I know, but one of the reasons that the PSA was set up in the first place was because we did have a situation where some security staff were just animals. I witnessed it myself over the years, dragging people out into laneways and knocking lumps out of them. So that has been cleaned up, but now you think that it is time that the staff themselves were supported better, in whether that be stab vests or whatever. Yep. All right, Aaron, thanks very much indeed. Do you still do it, by the way?
Sorry?
Do you still work at security?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Why do you keep doing it? It's just a question I've asked nearly everybody.
It's the love of the job, really. So it's when you have a group of lads that you want to make sure they're okay still, you know what I mean? You don't want to leave them there, that sort of way.
Okay, so generally it's all right, but you do have the...
Exactly, we are still frowned upon, and we do, and it's just, it seems like the guards always take the customer side, let's call them, You know, like, that's just the way it feels. Like,
okay, but somebody said in a text just a second ago, you're expecting us civilised people to give these guys weapons. It's a joke. They're grand when it's 3 security on 1, yet when it's the other way around, they're wanting pepper spray and tasers.
Yeah, well, pepper spray and tasers, that's ridiculous, really. Like, you know.
Well, I agree, especially the pepper spray. I think the use of pepper spray at the door of a venue is just totally inappropriate. And you heard that example that I gave that was actually in Night Elves and Ranelagh back in the day, where they had to evacuate the whole place because of pepper spray being set off at the door. Anyway, fascinating conversation. Like I said, it's a job I wouldn't do for love nor money. I'd be too afraid, basically. And I admire guys who continue to do it. I don't know why you continue to do it, but yes, I think it has started the conversation about the need to more support our door staff here in Ireland. And Sean, that we were talking to earlier on, as I said, I wish you a speedy recovery, Sean, and good luck with your ongoing campaign for more support for the security industry. You're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks. It's just gone 11 o'clock across Dublin City. Good morning. This is Adrian Kennedy. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks. And this is Trish with Tuesday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. The head of Dublin City Council has proposed a series of changes to tackle a funding shortfall. It could see the toll on the Eastlink Bridge rise by a third, increases to parking fees as well as social housing rents and commercial rates. Dublin 4 remains the most expensive place in Ireland to rent at around €2,500 a month, while County Leitrim is the cheapest. New figures from daft.ie which show rents increased by 5.2% across Ireland in the first 9 months of the year. An elderly woman has died following a house fire in Carbolis last night. The woman, who's in her 90s, was the only person in the house when emergency services were called at around 11:20pm. And Liam Gallagher has teamed up with Inner City Helping Homeless, calling on people to donate winter coats. People can win tickets to his gig in Dublin this month by helping out. And you're up to date on 98.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Call 6797 981.
You're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy, and Jeremy is here with me for a reason.
Yeah, so I was in Eason's at the weekend buying some annuals for my young fella for Christmas. I always believe that books, and I don't think people buy enough books for kids for Christmas, and kids actually love books. So anyway, I was in Eason's at the weekend buying a couple of annuals for him, and I came across a book on a shelf that just jumped out off the shelf at me, and I went, oh, what's this about? And it's a big red book, and I have it here in front of me, as you can see, and it says, How Will Santa Find Us? And I thought to myself,
oh, right, okay, so how will Santa find us would suggest he mightn't be able to find us.
Yeah, and then I see on the cover of the book, it says here, created in support of Focus Ireland. So I said, okay, this is interesting. So I opened the book anyway, and within a couple of minutes I realised that this is a book about Christmas and about Santa Claus, but involving the crisis that we're in at the moment, obviously the homeless crisis, and the fact that this Christmas, and every Christmas as long as I can remember, there are children who will be spending Christmas Day in hotel rooms, or possibly even worse, in soup kitchens or on the streets. So anyway, I had a couple of minutes to spare. I had my 5-year-old with me, my young fella with me, and I opened the book anyway, and to have a look at what it was like. And oh my God, it's an amazing book. Can I just read out a couple of the pages just to give people a flavour of what it's about?
So it's a story about a homeless family, or a family who suddenly find themselves homeless.
They literally lose their home a couple of days before Christmas, which, by the way, that's not fiction. I'm sure it will happen, and I'm sure it has happened in the past. And one of the things I've always instilled in my young fella, we're very lucky, like yourself, Adrian, and like a lot of people listening, we're very lucky to be in a nice position that, you know, my 2 children will wake up in their own house on Christmas Day. They'll get not whatever they want from Santa Claus, but they'll get decent presents and they'll have a nice Christmas Day. But it's very important to remind your children as well how lucky they are not to take anything for granted. And I always try to do that to my young fella, to tell him, you know, don't take this for granted. There are people that are a lot worse off than you. So I'll just read out a couple of the pages of the book. Late one night, lying in bed, my brother couldn't sleep. Though it wasn't from excitement like most kids on Christmas week. Mum said that our rent went up, it was just too high to pay, and now we didn't know where we were going to be spending Christmas Day. and you see the little kid lying on the bed. The illustrations are great in the book, by the way. You see the little kid lying on the bed, and he says out there, he says, "How will Santa find us?" Next morning, while we packed our things, Dad said, "Let's make this fun. We'll use our imaginations and have adventures while we're done." And then they're driving around in the car. They end up sleeping one of the nights in the car as well. I'm not going to give away the whole story, but what a wonderful story. And
okay,
so
now the book is called How Will Santa Find Us? And it tells the story of a little girl and her younger brother who lose their home the week before Christmas. Now, the book was written by Stephen Rogers and Shane O'Brien, and Shane joins us on the line. Shane, welcome to 98 FM.
Hi, guys. Thanks very much for having me on.
Shane, firstly, congratulations to all of you, because this wasn't just a project for yourself and Stephen. There are loads of illustrators involved in the book. Where did you get the idea from?
Well, I suppose it started about a year ago. There were a couple of particularly notable stories in the papers that kind of, I suppose, particularly captured the severity of the homeless crisis. One in particular, there was a lady who had to sleep in a Garda station with her kids, and it was just around that time we started thinking, like, well, what could we do? What small thing could we do to maybe help fundraise or something like that? And then as we were kind of thinking around the problem, we sort of realised that, look, this isn't really a problem of awareness. Everyone knows how bad this is. If you walk out around the streets of Dublin, you can see that. But there's something missing, and we kind of thought, well, this is really about empathy. So we kind of decided to try and create something that would raise as much money as we could for the great work that Focus Ireland do, but that also might help inspire some empathy for people who find themselves in that awful position of being homeless.
Now, I know you had planned originally to get the book out for last Christmas, so you actually had it completed last September, but it was a lot more difficult than you had thought.
Yeah, I think that's just us being complete rookies at writing books. No, we've had a huge amount of help from an awful lot of people who kind of made this possible. So we're actually really glad that we didn't try and rush it out for last Christmas, because it meant that we were able to work with all these incredible illustrators. So there's actually 9 illustrators in the book, and they're kind of the best known, best loved illustrators. If you take a wander around any bookshop in town, they all have books on the shelves, and basically we kind of, the story is written in such a way that the parents are obviously trying to distract the kids from the reality of what they're going through, so they kind of take them on imagination journeys on every page. And so we thought it'd be a really nice thing to have different illustrators draw every page to kind of bring that imagination to life.
And I have to say, it's so colourful. It tells, as you said, an all too realistic story of people finding themselves homeless, and it takes the story from them basically being booted out of their house because the rent was going up, to moving in with one of Mammy's friends for a night. That didn't work because obviously they had visitors coming. But all the way through telling the story of the difficulties that homeless people face is this kind of fairy tale going alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose for parents, I mean, it must be so stressful and so awful to be in that position. But for kids, I mean, that their concerns are the same, whether they're homeless or whether they're not. They're still worried about whether Santa's going to find them on Christmas morning, and how he's going to get there. So for us, we wanted to kind of bring that to life, and wanted to bring to life, I suppose, the efforts that parents do go to in that position, because we talked back and forth to Focus about this. We wanted it to reflect a real experience. We didn't want this to just be some fanciful thing. Everything in that book is based on the experiences that people do have every day, and the fact that parents do try and shelter their kids from the reality of it. So that was what we were trying to reflect in the book.
And obviously, as we said, the whole story is about how will Santa find us, and eventually Santa does find them, because the little boy leaves notes everywhere for him.
He does, yeah. But look, Santa will always find you. I think that's the important thing for kids listening. He will find you. But we did want the story to have a bit of hope, because ultimately, this is every day, Focus do manage to get one new family out of homelessness, and they can do amazing things, and they can help families in a huge way. So there is a lot of hope there, and we wanted that to come across too. But again, it's a very serious crisis, and they need an awful lot of support to do that.
And as Jeremy was saying a moment ago, a very serious crisis that we need to let kids who are a little bit better off, who aren't facing being homeless this Christmas, we need to educate those children on the realities of life for other children, and that's where this book actually comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had really amazing feedback from teachers and from parents so far that it's been something they've been able to use as a tool to have a conversation about it that doesn't frighten kids, but makes them aware, and makes them kind of start to think about it in a different way. So that was something that also we wanted this to be something that could start a conversation, because I think there is obviously when there is awful things in the world, you do want to shelter your kids from them, but at sometimes you kind of need to talk about the reality of things, because otherwise then they won't change.
What age group is this book aimed at? I would love to see everybody buying this as a Christmas stocking filler. What age are we talking about?
Well, we would say, I mean, it's very broad. We'd say everyone, really. The hope, like, younger kids can really enjoy the pictures. The artwork is beautiful in it. But then older kids, there's they can kind of enjoy the words, and kind of it's written in kind of rhyme, and so they can kind of enjoy reading that. But then also there is this other thing, as you say, where you can kind of go back through the book and find little things that you're supposed to find as well. So it's kind of for kind of all kind of kids, kind of, I suppose, 3 to 12, really, whatever age. Everyone, please buy it.
Okay, and as I said, it's an ideal stocking filler. All of the proceeds for the book going to Focus Ireland. The book is called How Will Santa Find Us? And I just want to read from the last page of the book, and here's what it says. And I want, when you hear this should make you buy the book. Helping people at Christmas is the best thing you can do, because sometimes other families aren't as lucky as me or you. So even when you don't have much, you'll always feel much better if you stop and think of others before you write your Christmas letter. And that's a great way to finish off the book. As I said, it's called How Will Santa Find Us? It is beautifully illustrated. It is brilliantly written. And I'm delighted that you finally have it out for this Christmas, Shane. And well done to yourself and to Stephen and to all of the illustrators for putting such a wonderful book together.
Thanks very much, and thanks very much for having us on the show.
And we don't normally talk about books, but when we saw that book, we said, yeah, we have to give that a mention. All of the proceeds, as we said, going to Focus Ireland, and just pick it up and throw it in as a stocking filler. Guys, I'm absolutely bawling listening to Shane and the reality of families with children who are homeless leading up to Christmas. I'd love to involve my family in donating and bringing my own children onto the streets to show them how privileged they really are. Myself and my partner were homeless, and we sheltered our kids, and luckily we got back on our feet. Amazing to hear about that book. I will definitely buy it. Another message says, the book sounds great. I'm heading to buy it for my 4-year-old right now. Fantastic. That's great to hear. And yeah, a lot of people actually reacting to this. Children who have homes and parents who will be able to get them some presents should be we'll be able to get them some presents, should be taught how lucky they are. I have always told mine that Mammy and Daddy have to pay Santa, and that's why we have to go out and work every day. So if the list is getting out of hand, they will stop themselves and say, oh, maybe it is too much. Once again, the book is called How Will Santa Find Us? It's a great little story, and it's a great way to tell the story of homelessness to your kids in a child-friendly way, I suppose. It really is a great book, and I couldn't recommend it enough. So, How Will Santa Find Us by Shane O'Brien and Stephen Rogers. Grab a copy of it, stick it in the stocking for Christmas as a little stocking filler. Now, you're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. Now, on the way after the break, what do you think of parents who make the decision not to post any photographs of their children on social media? Are they being too paranoid? I mean, what exactly is the harm of posting a picture of your child in a park on Facebook? Now, most of you listening do this, but there's a percentage of parents who don't. And I want to know, are you one of those parents who keeps your child off social media? If so, what are your reasons? Now, the reason I'm mentioning this, we were reading earlier on an interview with Rosanna Davidson, and she has said in an interview today that she will not post pictures of her baby girl online until the little girl is old enough to choose for herself whether or not she wants to be plastered all over the internet. She said, "We feel very protective of her. I'm not sure how much of her we'll share on the internet, if anything at all." And she went on to say that they, the parents, are keen to protect her privacy online until she is old enough to decide what to share online. And I want to find out, what do you make of this? Should more parents follow this advice? You may remember, if you were listening to the show yesterday, you'll have heard me mentioning that our Katie is back at work after her maternity leave. And she had a little baby last March, was it March? Yeah. And returned to work yesterday. And she has not posted any photos at all of her littlie online at all. So all of her friends have not seen the littlie online at all. Now, I've seen photographs of her because she sent them to me by WhatsApp, but anybody on social media has not seen a photograph of Katie's baby. Now, I've seen other parents posting photographs of their baby with a blurred out face or with a little sticker over their face, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Why are you bothering? But I want to know, do you believe that parents should wait until the child is old enough to give consent before being plastered on the internet? I mean, some will argue, what is the harm of posting a photo of your littlie online? As long as it's not a nude photograph, for example. Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98.
The sound of the city, from Sallynoggin to Swords. Dublin Talks. 98FM's Dublin Talks.
And good morning from Adrian Kennedy. Should we think about our children and the fact that they haven't given consent? I'm talking about particularly young children, and the fact that they haven't given their consent to having their photographs posted online because they're too young to give their consent. Rosanna Davidson said in an interview today that she will not post pictures of her new baby girl online until she is old enough to choose for herself whether or not she wants to be plastered all over the internet. And I want to ask you, is this something that all parents should start considering? Call me right now on 6797 981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Should you resist the temptation to post photographs of your kids online, or do you? Are you somebody who just doesn't, like our Katie? She has not put a photograph of her little boy since the day he was born. And is very, very staunch about it. She will not be posting pictures of her child. No family members are allowed to post photographs of him. She's extremely strict and very protective of her littlie. And that's just the way it is. Call me right now on 6797 981. I'm joined on the line by parenting expert Laura Erskine. Laura, let me begin by asking you, is this becoming more and more common?
I'm afraid it is, and that's something where we're much more aware of our children's rights now when it comes to their own data protection, and that includes their images, not just what's written about them. I think it's something that parents are much more aware of. However, it's really difficult because we still want to share those precious moments of our little ones reaching different milestones, everything from their birth to their first steps, to their first tooth, and onwards all the way up to their Holy Communion and their confirmation. And I suppose when they reach secondary school, they're of an age then when they might say, "Mom, please don't post anything online." And I think lots of parents are sort of taking that cue at that point to respect their wishes, potentially take stuff down that they may have posted earlier. But we're much more conscious now about our children's wishes with regards to what's posted online, and making sure that we don't post anything that's too embarrassing, that could see them being called out in the playground, or potentially feel upset or be bullied because of something that we've posted as a parent online, without realising what the knock-on consequences could be for our children.
Now, not all of us would have the same amount of followers as somebody like Rosanna Davidson, but what she said in a newspaper interview was that they're keen to protect the baby's privacy until she's old enough to decide what to share online. Is this something parents should now be considering with their young children, who clearly aren't old enough to give their consent to their pictures being shared on social media?
I think it is definitely. It's a personal decision, one that you'll have to make with your partner. And I do understand why she's doing it. However, we are living in an age where social media is effectively our diaries. It's our only communication tool with lots of our family and friends, especially when we're all not living right beside them and are able to see them on a day-to-day basis. And I suppose it's our only way of sharing those special moments with family and friends. It's very easy to change a social media profile to being private, and I suppose that's what lots of parents are deciding to do. Somebody like Rosanna Davidson, who has a huge amount of followers, you can understand why she wouldn't want to share any photos, because she's in the media spotlight as it is, and I suppose she's, I guess, more vulnerable as a result of that, and putting photos of her child online could be taken by any newspaper or any media outlet at all and posted out of context, and that's something that she would have to be very mindful of as a parent in the spotlight. Okay,
but for the rest of us who have our own private Facebook pages, not like Rosanna with 163,000 followers on Instagram, but we have our own private Facebook pages, do you see any harm in posting pictures of our babies and our young children, and as you said, achieving their various milestones in life?
I don't. I know that there are some issues with regards photos being shared, I think, and being taken by, I suppose, predators and used in other contexts. And it has happened in the past. But I think if you are concerned at all, keeping your Instagram and your Facebook social pages private and restricted to just family and friends should negate any undue effects that might occur on those photos. I think it's something that parents will continue to do because it's very difficult to share those moments otherwise, short of using WhatsApp groups. And even those are becoming almost a social media platform in themselves these days. And I suppose we are all conscious of where our data is being shared and how it's being used. And I think we should use it as a teaching opportunity then with our children as they become aware of images being shared online. I know my own child, my little girl Lucy, who's 8, she's very aware. She'll often take a selfie on my phone and say, "Mom, post that on Instagram and see how many likes I get." And I use that as a teaching opportunity to tell her that a photograph, she's beautiful anyway, and I'll always tell her that, but a photograph of her and how many likes she gets is not a measure of how important she is, how kind a person she is, how lovely a person she is, beautiful inside and on the outside, and how important it is not to measure ourselves by that. I wonder what age Rosanna thinks is a suitable age for her child to make that decision. I think children are very aware now of what social media is. It's being talked about amongst their friends. It's being talked about on YouTube videos that they watch online. And it's part of our education curriculum now in primary school through the SPHE subject. So I think our children will definitely take a stand at some point, and we do have to consider their career and their CV, because they say now that employers do search the internet ahead of reading a CV even to see if there's anything controversial that either they've posted or even a parent has posted.
Okay, so when posting a photograph of your young child, perhaps you should be thinking to the future and whether or not that child will in the future find that photograph, for example, embarrassing.
Absolutely. So I'd keep the bath photos to the minimum and just share those those precious milestone moments that you think that your child would like to have remember herself by, the kind of photos that you'd be happy to print out and place in your home. And they're the kind of photos that you should be perhaps posting online, and that's the measure of it, making sure that it is a photo that she would potentially not be embarrassed about in the future, either with her peers or with a potential employer.
Laura Erskine, thank you very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM.
Thank you.
And I'd like to hear from you on 6797981. You can text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. I want to find out whether or not this is now become a thing where parents are no longer posting photographs of their children online. Are you somebody who doesn't post any pictures of your children on Facebook or other social media? And if so, why not? Why do you not? So as I said, the best example that I know of, and well, actually I know of a couple, is our Katie, who will post a photograph of the child in his pram, but it's only a photograph of the pram. You won't see the child. And it's something that she said she was going to do before she ever went on maternity leave, and is something that she is stuck by ever since she had her little baby. And I'd like to hear from you. We want to find out, is this a thing now, that you don't post photographs of your child online until they're old enough to give their own consent? Peter, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Peter?
Adrian, good morning. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Peter. What did you want to say on this?
Yeah, look, I have to admit, I actually I put photographs up of my kids.
Right.
And I've no problem with it. Now, in fairness, though, sometimes my wife will have a problem with it.
Why?
Because she's like that. She just doesn't like the idea of other people out there. Like on Facebook, she doesn't mind. It's on Instagram because I have a public profile on Instagram, you know.
Yeah, no, and like I said, this is a slightly different conversation with somebody like Rosanna Davidson, who's a former Miss World. She's got 164,000 followers on Instagram. And, you know, to be posting a photo, she's in a kind of a different league to us mere mortals. And it is a different conversation with somebody like her. But a lot of people believe that once you post something online, even if it's only to your friends and you have a very private Facebook page, once it goes online, it stays online. It's there forevermore.
It pretty much is, Adrian. I have to agree. Once you put something online, you basically agree to the terms and conditions to put it up on the internet, that it becomes property of the world, basically, you know. That picture can be found. It's like anything. I remember years ago looking for a football photograph of myself as a kid, you know. And somebody had said to me, that was posted up on one of the sort of, you know, like the anniversary days. And I was like, oh, right, yeah, I had a look, and there it was. It was sitting there, you know, from 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah, no, and I was able to pick that photograph out. And they do belong. They basically do stay there. I don't like to think about the negative points of the internet, though.
I know, but one of the arguments is you probably should think about some of the...
Why should I? Well, like, either way, it's like if there's pictures up there, Adrian, they're there, and you know.
So what? You don't believe that that any harm can come to a child if they happen to have their photograph online?
Oh no, I never said that. I never said that at all. But what I did, I just basically believe that if somebody wants to get a photograph, they get a photograph, whether it's, you know, private or not private. You know what I mean? So like, the internet is such a deep and dark world these days. You know,
and I agree with you. It's a deeply dark world. So therefore, why would anybody post any photograph of any child?
Because they don't think of that. They like when I post a photograph of my kids up on the internet. Now it's not, they're not sitting in the bath or anything like that. They're just their achievements, you know, if they're out and they're doing a sports day. It's just, now there will be only my kids in the photograph, to be nobody else, but that's my choice, and I choose to, you know, sort of celebrate, you know, my kids, and nothing's going to stop me from celebrating their achievements and posting online and being proud, you know.
Okay, well, stay there for 1 second.
To friends and family, of course, you know.
Okay, stay there for 1 second if you can, please, Peter. 6797981 is our telephone number. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. We're talking about whether or not parents should resist the temptation to post photographs of their children online, primarily because they have not given their consent. They have not said it is okay to post a photograph of me. And Susan, this is something you used to do. Why did you stop?
I stopped because the reason being, I have a platform page on Facebook myself. It's called Sue's Lyme's Disease Fight. I'm fighting the disease about 6 years now.
Okay.
So we've been doing this campaign every May as it's Lyme Awareness Month, and my son would tag along to the rallies in support of me and others, you know. And I was popping pictures up, thinking this is fantastic. You know, he's there behind us all the way, only to find out that his father's side, which he has no contact with, were actually using photographs from the page, cropping them and using them as profile pics. And I haven't seen my son in years. So that really upset him. And when I saw how upset he got, that really, really tore me to pieces. So now, like the lady that works with you, Katie, if I'm putting up a picture, it'd be the back of his head or something now. I wouldn't actually put a full photograph of him on
Okay, so you have a specific reason for not doing it. You know, not everybody has that specific reason. But do you think that people should be thinking twice?
Most definitely. I'm raging I ever did it, because I honestly thought it was doing no harm. But then when I sat back and I listened to my son, you know, he's now almost 16, and he'd tell you himself if he was here that, you know, that was a picture of me. So if it wasn't them that took that picture and cropped it, who else took that picture and cropped it? You know, and it really opened my eyes. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I wasn't thinking. I really honestly wasn't thinking, because I just thought of it as a support thing, and I thought this is fantastic, seeing young people out and, you know, supporting groups. And I was just heartbroken to hear from him, you know, saying, you know, if it wasn't them that got the photograph and cropped it, you know, you've just put that picture out there and everybody can see that picture. So it really has opened my eyes on it, you know. So now I don't do it unless he says otherwise.
Okay, now somebody just texted in, and this is the point, I suppose, of this conversation. The internet is like an elephant. It never forgets. Never. And that person goes on to say, I put nothing online. And
well, I've learned.
In fact, that guy's profile picture he's obviously a proud daddy, because his profile picture is him and his baby girl. I assume it's his baby girl, but he posts nothing online because the internet never forgets. It's there forever. No matter how...
I've definitely learnt my lesson on it now. And I've even, like, from that experience, my brother then went on to have a new baby himself. You know, his first baby, his first son, so proud. He never posted pictures of the baby. And even still now, they don't. They would, you know, take a picture of the back of his head. You know, we get a lot of pictures of the back of his head on the internet, but you don't actually get to see his face in it. And I think, you know, you're still catching the moment, even though you're not getting their face in it. It's lovely. We're not saying don't do it. You know, it's nice to share these things.
Yeah, I mean, I would have more respect for somebody like our Katie, who just has posted no pictures whatsoever of her little lad, than I have for other people that I've seen posting pictures of the child but blurring out their face or putting a sticker over their face. I think that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I have to say now, I have learnt my lesson on it, and since that, I am so more aware of it, you know. I would ask him now, so like we had a few things coming up, and, you know, a lot of pictures were being taken, and he says, do not put that on. I'm like, no, it's not going up online. So, you know, I have to respect his wishes, so I can understand, you know, kids at such a small age can't stand up for themselves to say, listen, I don't want that online. When later on in the future, they could be going, sweet Jesus, what did you put that up for? You know, so I have learned, as I said, he is almost 16, and, you know, it's, to him, he's very, very clever. He'd just say, you know, I don't care that they have the photograph on that side of the family, really doesn't bother. But it's who else has that photograph. You don't know who else has access and is able to crop that picture. He said it is actually scary, because if they were able to do it, and they're not, you know, they're not tech people that know much about photograph, you know, cutting down photographs and stuff, but if they were able to manage that, just imagine what some weirdo, that's what he described, would be able to do the photograph.
Okay, we'll stay there for 1 second. 6797981 is our telephone number. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. Luke, you are somebody who posts nothing on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
That message said, it's like an internet. It's like an elephant. It never forgets. And once you put something online, it's not yours anymore. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to whoever wants it.
Okay, but what of it?
It's just not something I've ever done. My girlfriend, she likes to take a lot of pictures and she likes to put them online, but we'll go through them first and discuss which ones should go online and which ones shouldn't. And most of them, like your other caller there, is from the back or from the side. Say we're at the zoo, we'll get the back of her looking at the animals. You know what I mean? And here she is at the zoo. You don't need to see her face to know that she's at the zoo or she's in the park.
Okay, but again, why? Why would you even bother putting the photograph up?
Well, I don't put the photograph up.
Okay, but she does. You see what I'm asking? Okay, you say you look at the pictures, you make sure that the child isn't kind of visible or whatever. What are you worried about?
I don't know. You should always be worried about something. You can't really put your finger on what you're worried about. It's an awful lot of things.
Like what? And this is something that I've asked Katie about numerous times in the last couple of months. And again, I respect her decision, and she has literally not posted a photograph of her son since he was born last March. Okay, and that's fine, and I respect that, but I still don't understand why. And what the fear is. She argues that he hasn't given his consent, and that's fair enough. And it's respect for her child. And to respect their privacy and everything else. Now, I wonder, what are you afraid of?
Well, the internet's a scary place.
And I agree with that.
It's no place for children, whether they're to be on the internet or physically on the internet. It's no place for them.
It is no place for them. I can't disagree with that. Even after conversations we had last week on the programme. But the fact of the matter is that do you believe harm can come to a child if their photograph is online?
No. But say somebody wants to come bring harm to you. You know what I mean? That's the easiest way to do it, is to get your profile off the internet and then find family members, or you know what I mean? It's probably not today or tomorrow, but you might come in contact with somebody who wants to do harm to you, and maybe not you, but maybe family members. You know what I mean? Like you had your bouncers on earlier on. You know what I mean? Maybe they're not going to go after the bouncers, but they'll go after the family. You just have to be wary about this. Anytime you go on the internet or anytime you post something or a picture online, you just have to be wary about it.
All right, stay there for 1 second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text, WhatsApp or a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98, like Connor just did.
How are you doing, Adrian? I love the show. Listen, my wife bumped into a pal of ours there just recently, and we had just after having my baby there a few months ago, and she didn't even realise that we had the first one. And because we have two kids, and because there was no photos up on Facebook, it's just sad to see that the norm now is for your life to be on social media all the time, so hopefully that trend can book with conversations like this, right? Thanks, bye-bye.
I'd like to hear from you. Are you somebody who has a social media ban on photographs of your child? We're back in a sec.
The sound of the city, from Stoneybatter to Stepaside. Dublin Talks. 98FM's Dublin Talks.
This is Adrian Kennedy. We're in the middle of a conversation about people who post every last syllable of a child's life on social media versus ones who don't do it at all. And you would have heard what I mentioned a while ago, the story of former Miss World Rosanna Davison said in an interview today that she will not post pictures of her new baby girl until she is old enough to choose for herself whether or not she wants to be plastered all over the internet. And it raises the conversation about whether or not we should all do that. Should we all consider twice before posting photographs of our children online? Because, as we said, once they're there, they're there. Do you know what I mean? Unless you actually go through and delete them all. Even at that, once you post something online, somebody can take a screen grab of it or do whatever with that photograph because it's there for the whole world. And we're asking whether or not it is paranoia to be saying I don't post photographs, or is it respectful to your child that you don't ignore the child's wishes? For example, if you were to post a photograph of your child aged 4 or 5, and in subsequent years that child actually finds that photograph or video or whatever it is cringeworthy, you've humiliated your own child. Now, they mightn't feel that humiliation for a couple of years to come, but they may eventually feel that humiliation. Lauren, what do you do with regard to posting pictures online?
Hi, yeah, I post pictures of my 2 smaller kids because they want me to, they ask me to.
And what age are your 2 smaller kids?
8 and 9.
8 and 9.
Yeah, and my 12-year-old, absolutely no way. She said there's no way she wants any pictures of herself online, so I don't whatsoever.
But doesn't that prove the point? Doesn't that prove that by parents posting photographs of their young children, you're doing it without them giving consent?
Yeah, I suppose
because your 12-year-old has essentially withdrawn that consent.
Totally. I mean, she has her own social media, but there's not one single photograph of her. She just does art. So there's no pictures of her online, apart from when she was very small. So other than that, no. So I ask them if they pick the picture. I have to tell them no sometimes. But,
sorry, I'm losing you there, Lauren.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
I do. I ask their permission. The smaller kids, and they love putting pictures up online, and I have to tell them I don't do it every day. I don't do it every second day. I might do it once every 2 weeks, once a week. It all depends, really. But I do ask the permission, and it's up to themselves, I suppose. But I don't spend my days worrying. I can't spend my days worrying about what's going to happen if I put a picture up online, because that just drives you demented, So I can't. There's billions of pictures out there, so I can't really be thinking, if I put a picture up, something.
No, and I understand that, but let's talk about the consent aspect, where you've just described how your 12-year-old has essentially withdrawn her consent for you to post photographs of her online, okay? And that's because she's older and wiser and everything else. Surely we should be looking for that same consent from our younger children.
Yeah, well, I suppose, if a child says to their parents, like, oh, I don't put that up, and that's wrong. If they can see that it's upsetting the child, or it's embarrassing them or whatever, I think they need to kind of look at that. But, a baby photograph, kids change, they're not going to, my kids don't look anything like they did when they were a baby, even though my daughter has pictures of when she was younger, she just hasn't in the last 4 or 5 years,
All right, stay there for 1 second, Lauren. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text, WhatsApp, or send a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. If you're somebody who posts every last thing your child does on social media, I'd like to hear from you. Or if you're the exact opposite and you post nothing, again, I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. Sean feels very strongly about this.
I don't understand why people are compelled to have to post up pictures all the time in this day and age. Is it attention they're looking for? Pay more attention to your kids and less attention to a social media platform. There's more important things out in the world than having to go on social media all the time. It's just a waste of time, social media is.
Not for everybody, though, Sean. For some people, it's an important part of their life. Dave, you're on Dublin's 98 FM. How are you, Dave?
All right, Adrian.
Good, thanks, Dave. Now, you think waiting for consent is going a bit too far?
Bit silly, isn't that?
Well, is it?
Does that sound a bit silly? Say, turn around to your 4-year-old going, can Mammy have your consent to send a picture of you?
No, because they're too. Because at the age of 4, they're too young to give consent.
Yeah. And so it's our job as parents to make the best call. Don't get me wrong, I'm not all for plastering every aspect of your life all over social media, but I put pictures of my uncles, say school nativity play at Christmas time. We put them up on Facebook, and our friends who, if they see a picture of their kid, they can get it off that, or they can give a video off it, or if we go to Comic-Con, we'll put up the pictures for the day. But I think this whole asking kids for consenting, it sounds silly.
Okay, you heard that lady a couple of minutes ago describe how her 12-year-old does not want her photograph online. So the 12-year-old has essentially withdrawn consent.
And that is perfectly reasonable. That's no bothers at all. If my little fella said, Dad, I don't want you to put those pictures on Facebook, I'd say, okay. You know, but he's not.
Okay, but Dave, okay, let me put it this way. I have seen photographs and videos on different people's Facebook pages of their children, okay? And I know that by the time that child or children get to 10, 11, 12, they will cringe looking at those videos. They will absolutely cringe. Now, surely that's not right to do that on a child.
Yeah, but you see, that's the parents being a gobshite. That's not an issue of consent. That's the parents not having enough cop on. Like, I post pictures, like, on my own Facebook page of myself and the family and little fella when we do so. But I wouldn't put anything embarrassing up there. You know, that's just parents being idiots looking for likes and laughs on Facebook. Like, the whole idea of social media, you know, like, is doing stuff like that. I mean, you just, use your privacy settings to make sure people can't change your stuff, and you only share with a select number of people. You know, some people are just morons. You know, I don't think it's an issue of consent. I think it's an issue of people just being stupid.
Yeah, I think that's stupidity, though. Like I said, I can think of one particular post of a child, and I would be amazed if that child in 8 or 9 or 10 years were to see that post online and think, oh, that's great. They will absolutely cringe.
Yeah, but see, if that child was old enough then to even give consent at the time, the parent probably would have done it anyway because the parent's a moron. You know, it's just being a gobshite. You know, people don't realise, you know, all the stuff you put on social media or you put on the internet is there. Like, I've heard people talking about maybe pedophiles want to take a picture of your kid, but if a pedophile wanted to find pictures of kids, they're not going to Facebook.
Okay, stay there for a second. Jamie, you're on 98FM. How are you, Jamie?
Hey, Adrian.
Now, you think these parents are a little bit over the top?
Of course they are. And your man goes, oh, the internet is a scary place. Well,
but it is.
Stop it. Internet's a scary place. It's not. People need to cop on. What's someone going to do with a picture of a kid? And what you said there about the child in 10 years' time is going to cringe. Yeah. They won't be humiliated to the point of, you know, depression around like that. You look at.
They could be humiliated to the point of bullying.
Stop. So, in what circumstance could that happen now? Come on. They'd look at a video and go, that was me when I was a kid. Simple as. I was a kid. Get over it. That's what they'll say. You know, that's what parents should be telling them to say.
So this whole idea, and say, for example, and I gave the example, and she doesn't mind me using her as an example, our Katie, since she had her baby back in, whenever it was, March, has not put one photograph online of her child because...
That's her choice.
I know it's her choice. I know it's her choice. But her argument is because her child hasn't consented to it.
Well, sorry, Katie. I love you, Katie. Come on. You're great when you ring us and all, but come on, stop. Stop that now. Come on. The child hasn't given consent. Come on. It's the baby. It's
okay, she's also shouting in my ear here. It's great to have you back, by the way, Katie. Shouting in my ear non-stop. She's also saying that it's about respecting your child's privacy.
Come on, Katie. Don't. Just don't be turning into one of them. Come on. Your baby, social media can be used as like a memory store, basically. As I said before, I told you before, I made a profile of my son when he was born. You know, right from the minute he was born, it's his own profile, it's in his name. And that's a diary of his life, basically. Photos.
Okay, so you think that this whole thing of saying no to social media is a bit over the top?
Way over the top.
And in fact, one of the things that we've argued with Katie is why bother having a social media account at all? Just shut it down. And then that's the end of that. Stay there. Maria, you're on 98FM. Hi, Maria.
Hi, I'm good.
Your point on this is that we have to make decisions for our own children, and that's correct.
Exactly.
But sometimes we make the wrong decisions.
No, on to a point, I mean, that's parenting. You do make a wrong decision sometimes, but this is your choice because you're the parent. There's the trick is there. See, when your baby is a baby, if they don't consent of what if they like that food you're giving them, right? So the consent comes into play when they get old enough for you to give them responsibility. Up until that time, I choose where they go, what they eat, what they do, and pictures online. I feel a bit sorry for Katie because, for example, me, I'm not Irish, but I live in Ireland already 15 years. If I wouldn't post any pictures of my kids online, the grandparents, my friends, my sisters, my brother would never see.
Maria, that's not right, because you could send them a WhatsApp of the photographs. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I have only friends who view, who can view the pictures on my Facebook, for example. It's not open to everybody.
No, I understand. I understand that. But you're saying you have to post them online because it's the only way they'll see them. That's not true. You can email the photographs.
No, I don't have to. I choose to do that because I'm not going to choose 20 or 30 people there I'm going to send the pictures to. I send one picture, I post it up, and I also clean my Facebook accounts every once in a while, taking down all pictures.
And something people should do even with friends online, clean up your account and get rid of people that you're not actually friends with. All right, Maria, thank you very much indeed for your call. That's a load of rubbish, says this message. You can document your child's life, you just don't have to post it online, for God's sake. If family want to see the child, or if he or she achieves something, take a photo and send it to family by WhatsApp. I 100% agree with Katie's decision. Fair play to her. Fair play to you, Katie. Great to have you back. Katie and her Little. Okay, that's it from us for today. Thanks for listening. We're back again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Barry Dunn is on the way, and in the next hour, he's got some great music lined up, like these.
I've been up for 3 nights at the motel.
The sound of the city, from Blackrock to Ballyfermot.
Dublin Talks.
98FM's Dublin Talks.